Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello there, and welcome back to me. Happy New Year to you. And I'm going to start 2017 with an apology. My voice is really on the fritz, as I think you can tell. It's definitely deeper. But I'm having an asthma flare-up, and that's what this is all about, not the surgery that has kept me away for the last few days. That went well. So anyway, I haven't been here for a week. And I want to tell you that I gave myself a vacation from the news. And it was a little hard on me at first, but I took a peek now and then. But there were days when I never pulled the newspapers out of their little plastic containers that they come to my front door in. And they just sat there, and for some reason, I did not have my usual sort of just crazed compulsion that I had to take them out, and I had to read every last paragraph. So I must admit that I might be a little behind the curve, but in fact, I forced myself yesterday to jump back in, and man, oh God, we are in for I can't for the next 4 years just sit here like freaking out, I suppose. But I'm not quite sure what to do. There's nothing that is happening that is ameliorating in any way my fear, and I use the term absolutely, my fear for what is going to happen to our nation under a Trump presidency. Oh, my God. Did you see he's added Omarosa to his... Now, I never watched his stupid show, but my understanding is she was, like, reviled. What? She was some kind of universally hated, she's a disgusting human being, right? But she was there for him, and so think of who's in the White House. And here's the one thing, before we get into anything specific, that I want to talk about, the thing that's scaring me the most. It's the absence from media in any way. You don't see him, you don't hear from him. It's as if he doesn't exist. Of one Steve Bannon. Do you remember him? Yeah. Well, Steve Bannon, I think, without a doubt, if there is a puppet master with Trump, he is it. He is smart, and I am more afraid of him than anybody in that rogues gallery that will inhabit the White House in just 2 weeks' time. And the fact that he knows that he needs to stay in the background, hidden. He's too hot. It scares me. It scares me. You don't even see his name in articles anymore. It's almost as though he said even to Trump, hey, let's just no need to reference me. No need to, as a matter of fact, I'd prefer just to fly under the radar here. I'm building up in my head this sense of Steve Bannon as the true evil genius of this frightening administration. And again, just by virtue of the fact that he craves no attention. It's not what he's about. He's got an agenda, and it's grandiose. He has a plan. He saw Trump as the guy he could ride his way to the seat of power to begin to implement this plan. And remember who he is. He is the guy from Brietbart. He is the guy who worked at Goldman Sachs and then went off to Hollywood. That's one East Coast, Goldman Sachs, West Coast, Hollywood, that liberal elite area of the United States, which he grew to despise for whatever reason. And he knows how both function really well. The guy's been around. What drives me nuts is his vast wealth comes from the fact that every time a Seinfeld episode airs, he makes money. He, when he was at Goldman Sachs, was one of the original, threw some money into the pot for this show that was being developed. Then that this fascistic, frightening man derived some of his power from Seinfeld is, again, just one of those little twists, of which there are now so many, that just leaves us heads shaking and jaws slack. So as I came in this morning, I was listening to the Senate hearing about the hacking by Russia, and the defense secretary, I believe, was there. I mean, I didn't hear any of the testimony. Clapper was there. Admiral Rogers was there. These are all heads of the intelligence agencies that Donald Trump has been ridiculing and undermining, and that alone, what he has done in regard with his tweets to attempt to destabilize and harm America's intelligence agencies is probably the most frightening thing going on right now. I sort of feel like we somehow are going to survive his tenure in regard to the domestic front, which will be horrible. But it's foreign policy that is the scary part. And this siding with, openly, publicly, siding with and citing a refugee from justice who's holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, a guy who has already disseminated all kinds of stolen information, it's what he does, Julian Assange, to credit, as our soon-to-be president does, Julian Assange over our own intelligence analysis is beyond frightening. It's beyond frightening. And now word comes, and this is the lead story in today's Wall Street Journal, and now comes the apparent attempt on the part of a Trump administration to restructure and pare back and, to a certain extent, disarm America's intelligence gathering abilities. Donald Trump has been very clear. He says they've been politicized. And so he's going to politicize them a little bit more. The plan to restructure the Central Intelligence Agency would apparently cut back on a lot of staff at its headquarters. And here's a guy who has, again, expressed no interest in what these agencies have to say. This has to be Bannon. That something like that has to be Bannon at work. And okay, I don't know. So yesterday morning, Trump tweeted, "Do you realize that this is what his presidency is going to be? He's going to tweet, and he's going to hold rallies. That's what he's going to do. That's all he's going to do. I doubt that there will be many press conferences. I doubt that he will allow, to the media to pepper him with questions. He will not want his general ignorance of so many issues on display. So he will tweet, and when he needs a fix, they'll organize a rally somewhere for him where he can sound off about how great he is and have his adoring minions screaming his name. If Ronald Reagan were like, you could resurrect him and sit the guy down and say, okay, hey, Ronnie, guess what happened? That loudmouth, vulgarian Donald Trump, the New York real estate guy, well, he's now the president, and he was the nominee of your party, and he is backing a guy who's wanted for rape and is hiding out in an embassy in London. He's listening to that guy who stole information from America, who's working with the Russians, and he believes what this guy says over the CIA, the DIA, the FBI, you name it. It doesn't matter. He belittles our own intelligence gathering and trusts this rapist refugee. I came upon the word of the year last year. I guess last year's word of the year, unprecedented, in a story today in which it said that intelligence analysts said that Trump's tweets of yesterday were unprecedented because if ever in the past a president is skeptical, let's say, of what his intelligence analysts are telling him, they don't make that public. They question the intelligence gatherers quietly in the Oval Office. It's the kind of thing there's not a lot of transparency about. But Trump taking to Twitter and saying this, Julian Assange said a 14-year-old could have hacked Podesta. Also said Russians did not give him the info. So I guess for Trump, that's case closed because Julian Assange said so. Meanwhile, all of these men and women of our intelligence services, many of whom die in the service to this country, he bats away their findings and trusts that little raping weasel thief Julian Assange. Unprecedented? Yeah, I think so. So what next? The immediate repeal of Obamacare. Now, somebody suggested to me yesterday that the reason so many people who will be harmed by losing the coverage that Obamacare has afforded them, whether they signed up or not, because we all immediately benefited from Obamacare. We all did. Because it got rid of, you can't get, remember, you couldn't get insurance if you had a pre-existing condition. Well, it took care of that. Kids, who, as soon as they turned 21, were thrown off their parents. That's gone. All of these kinds of things, certain mandates that certain preventive medical protocols be covered by any plan. All of that is part of Obamacare. All Americans benefited from it. In fact, all Americans benefit from more Americans being insured. No doubt about it. And so, they're going to get rid of it. And I guess the vice president-to-be yesterday had some kind of a big event, and he said this, and I read it, and I just, again, stunned. Your soon-to-be vice president said this: "The American people voted decisively for a better future for health care in this country." No, they didn't. First of all, the American people did not vote decisively in the last election. The American people, in fact, voted by almost 3 million more of them for Hillary Clinton. And as to whether or not they voted for Trump because they wanted him to get rid of Obamacare, well, that remains to be seen. As Chuck Schumer said, the new phrase for this Republican Party should be "Make America Sick Again." The reality is, as soon as the Republicans do this, and they really can go bang. And the fact that they're willing to repeal without having even a hint of a plan to replace it is mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling to me. You can't get any more crazy. So the Republicans are quite willing to throw millions of Americans, actually almost 1 million here in Pennsylvania, who have health insurance under the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare. And they will, like that, throw all those people off. In fact, I think, what is it? There's just 3 states that it's Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina. Each one of those states has about 1 million people who now have health insurance. All of those states voted for Donald Trump. It's odd, isn't it? And if you look at who gets Obamacare, they are white, 56%, who get Obamacare are white, and 80% have less than a college degree. Those are Trump voters. So the very people that finally have insurance vote for the guy who on day one will take it away from them. And I'm told I'm supposed to understand these people. And what I was wanting to get at when I started this thought was that a friend said to me, you know, the reason they hate, even if it's helping them, they hate it so much, it's because of the name the Republicans put on it. They're so good at branding. They called it Obamacare. And so if it has Obama's name on it, it is loathed. It is assumed to be something horrible, even if it's providing them access to life-saving medical care. A lot of research was done prior to the passage of the Affordable Care Act, and it was believed that the lack of health insurance that was a reality for so many Americans was literally killing Americans. I mean, it's not hard to imagine that would be the outcome, killing them. In fact, when they sort of crunch the numbers, I don't know how they come up with, there was an American dying from lack of access to health care, 1 every 24 seconds. We're going to head right back there. The American College of Physicians warned this week that if the Republicans go ahead with this, it could result in 7 million Americans losing health care, health insurance. And that would mean, again, that about 8,400 Americans will literally die as a result of this Republican action. Think of that. The Republicans willing to pull the rug out from under people for what many would say is, if there's a right, a human right in a country that pretends to be great, it would be access to health care for all, I would think. And they're about to literally do something that will result in the death of thousands of Americans and the sickening of others. They're willing to do that. As Paul Krugman pointed out today, and these are the same guys who spent $7 million and God knows how much time investigating the deaths of 4 Americans in Benghazi. And now, without a thought, they cannot wait to cost thousands of American lives by repealing the Affordable Care Act. It's confusing, to say the least. Brooke writes, Lynn, first Happy New Year. Yeah, I've been saying Happier New Year to people. I don't know. I doubt it. In your last show of the year, you reviewed the deaths of the year, and no sooner did you sign off than Debbie Reynolds died, too. That's right. That's what, yeah. Unbelievable.
Heartbroken.
Died of a broken heart. It happens. Oh, it happens. It happened to my grandmother, my father's mother. Her husband died. She was in perfectly good health. Her husband died And she just went down, 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 and was dead 8 months later. A lot of people die of grief. And I can see where a parent couldn't bear it. It's the saddest thing. We have a call. Hello. Hello, caller. No? Hello? Not? Well, okay, it could be since we haven't been here for a while that something's unplugged. Gee, Brooke, you're full of all kinds of... You don't want me to talk about such heavy stuff. How about Megyn Kelly going to NBC? I don't give a shit, if you want to know the truth. I don't give a shit about Megyn Kelly. I have no respect for Megyn Kelly. She is... I don't care. I mean, I know more. I don't care about any of these people on television anymore. I just... I can't take it. I can't take them. I can't take it. I can't take the drama. I'm sick of it. Megyn Kelly goes to NBC. Whoop-dee-doo. Can you imagine Megyn Kelly and Rachel Maddow sitting side by side? Well, I'll tell you, the brain power there would be pretty impressive because I don't like Megyn Kelly, but she is sharp. And God knows Maddow is too. But Kelly, what's Kelly about? Kelly's about Kelly. Maddow's about information sharing and educating. And NBC, I mean, all these people, all these executives at NBC, CBS, they are like the vilest humans on earth. They really are. And I don't know how successful Megyn Kelly will be at NBC. I have no idea. I wish her ill, if you want to know the truth. And I hope NBC is left, having to pay her for the rest of their lives. Maybe without the tutelage and the unseen hand of Roger Ailes, which she had at Fox News, she will prove not to be quite as amazing as you may think. I don't know. I don't care. I think the star system in news has truly helped to destroy the integrity of American journalism. And Megyn Kelly is an absolute example. Megyn Kelly. I just said she was smart. She's the one who said absolute certainty that both Jesus and Santa Claus were white. I don't give a crap about this woman. And then Brooke says, no sooner did they swear in the new Congress than they made a move to scrap the Office of Congressional Ethics. That was amazing. That was so bold, so blatant, so middle finger to every American. Unbelievable. And I want to thank the American people for rising up, apparently flooding congressional offices with their outrage. It's amazing. I mean, quite clearly they don't give a damn about what any of us think, because that would not be the first move you'd make. All right, we're in power, we own everything. Now let's get rid of the guys who are supposed to make sure that we don't steal everything that isn't nailed down. Do you know the office they want to go after? And by the way, anybody who credits Trump he tweeted, "I don't think this is he didn't say it was a bad idea. He said the timing was wrong. For public relations purposes, it was stupid." And he was saying, give it a rest. We'll do it sometime. And we've done so many huge things that no one will even pay attention. But they really wanted to get rid of the office that investigates criminal action by members of Congress. And the thing about the office, the OCE, Office of Congressional Ethics, is that this is the only way that somebody like you or me can anonymously tip off this body to the fact that something nefarious is going on. It allows for anonymous tips. It is made up of nonpartisan, independent professionals, private citizens, not elected people. They're ethics experts and they're lawyers. That's who runs this thing. And they do have a telephone, so if you knew that Congressman so-and-so was doing this or that, you could call. You can see why the Congress doesn't like it. Wait a minute. Okay. I don't understand that. That's too complicated. And then there is the coming, the war on women, which we've been talking about for a long time, is about to become as apparent as the Republicans uncaring about what the hell you think about what they're doing. It is about to become blatant, bold. And they are about to, without a doubt, defund Planned Parenthood, which means they will not allow any Medicaid payment to Planned Parenthood. And since Medicaid is what poor women have as insurance, and Planned Parenthood services poor women, that means the effort, obviously, is to kill Planned Parenthood by taking away the insurance of the women who seek out Planned Parenthood for their health care. And you understand those women aren't going in because they're having abortions left and right. Those women go into Planned Parenthood so they never have to have an abortion. They go to Planned Parenthood for contraception and for mammograms and for, cervical cancer screenings and for general wellness care. The majority of women who used Planned Parenthood do not have an abortion. They're trying to avoid pregnancies. So, the guy who the guy who Trump wants as Secretary of Health and Human Services is this Congressman Tom Price. He is probably the most strident opponent of a woman's right to control her own body of anybody in the Congress, and that's saying something. When he was in Congress, Price get this. He opposed a law that would protect women in Washington, D.C., because as you know, the Congress has oversight of the District of Columbia. He opposed a law that would protect the women who live in Washington from employment discrimination based on their decision to use birth control. Hello? Birth control. He was saying that if a woman in D.C. chooses to use birth control and her employer thinks that birth control is, I don't know, some terrible thing, she could be fired for that. How her employer would know she's using birth control, I don't know. He was a co-sponsor of legislation that would have defined life as beginning at conception, which invites arguments that a lot of birth control methods constitute murder. He has long salivated at the possibility of getting rid of the Affordable Care Act because family planning services are part of Obamacare's preventive care strategy, something I referred to earlier. Because Obamacare requires that all insurance plans cover preventive health services such as immunizations, such as blood pressure screenings, such as birth control. Is opposed to it. The Affordable Care Act also, in this preventive care strategy, also requires well woman visits, which is like a yearly exam to make sure everything's okay. Counseling for sexually transmitted infections, breastfeeding support, screening and counseling for domestic violence, and contraceptive methods and counseling. All of that gone. I remember when I first heard that most women, I don't know if it was most, but a ton of women only see a gynecologist. They don't have another doctor. That's it, a gynecologist. They see a gynecologist once a year. And in fact, 35 states in this country allow an OBGYN to be listed on a Medicaid as the woman's primary care provider, not an internist, not a family doc, a gynecologist. And for many women, that gynecologist is an employee of Planned Parenthood. Women, believe me, know what is at stake here. I know that the Planned Parenthood here and all Planned Parenthood centers all over the country are being deluged right now with women on Medicaid desperately coming in, and they are opting to get long-term preventive contraception, such as an IUD. There's a lot of other possibilities now, but they're desperate to get something that will safeguard them from an unwanted pregnancy before the Republicans shut down their access to their doctors and their health care. So when the soon-to-be Vice President Pence says that Americans voted overwhelmingly, I forget his exact words, for this kind of, he says the American people voted decisively for this kind of assault on women, he's full of crap, because every poll that is taken shows that voters, including 2/3 of all women, support private health plans coverage of the full cost of birth control. You know, it's amazing to me that before Obamacare, insurance companies regularly fully covered Viagra, but would not, a lot of them, cover birth control. Right? Unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. Unconscionable, unbelievable, how do you even... I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go back to you guys. Ooh, good. I see on a much lighter note, Ruth says, who does your grammar? I laughed when I saw this. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Me?
Oh, you got Celine nervous here. What does it say? To listen to your show, I go to PittsburghCityPaper.com and I click on the link for your show. Right under your photo. Oh, don't tell me things like this. It clearly says, the audio streaming mobile and desktop apps have been discontinued. Well, that's a typo.
Yeah, have been, but it's a typo.
Okay, can we correct that right now?
Yeah,
Let's do that.
sure.
The audio streaming mobile and desktop apps have been discontinued.
You guys love to just
Okay, so the show then is available only from what? YouTube. But do you go?
They killed the audio.
We killed the audio. All your complaints.
Yep.
It's gone. But wait a minute. So, if you go to Pittsburgh City Paper, do they direct you then to YouTube?
Well, you can see us through the website, or you can just go directly to YouTube.
Okay, just go to YouTube. Okay. Denise writes, I've been trying to listen to the show through the mobile app and didn't realize until today it was discontinued. Oh, God. That explains the error message I've been getting. Is there going to be another one? I usually only listen to the audio since I'm not on when you're on. Denise,
It's archived through YouTube.
go to youtube.com. And then you what? You just type in Lynn Cullen, and up comes all the shows. That's the way to do it, and believe me, they got a better system than whatever crap we had. Okay? Jesus. I don't know if you reacted the same way I did, but I was so disappointed when I heard that Hillary and Bill Clinton were going to attend the inauguration. And George W. So they're all going to go and make it seem like this is a totally normal transfer of power. And guys, it ain't. It ain't. So for Hillary and Bill to go, I can't imagine. Can you imagine being her and watching that grotesquery take the oath of office? We got a call. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I just want to tell you, you can go to Lynn Cullen Live, Pittsburgh City Paper. It comes on every time. I don't get what these people are doing with their computers. I never have trouble. It's unbelievable. Now, there's been times when you said there was a problem. I don't know.
You never had a problem?
No. I get on there, and I'd say 95% of the time. The problems I had is when you said there was a problem, but never have a problem. So I don't know what they're doing, or their computer has a virus. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I I've never had trouble.
Well, Celine is sending you her love.
Okay.
Okay.
That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. I don't know. I mean, as somebody who is often flummoxed big time by computers, believe me, I don't know. I'd probably be one of the people who wouldn't be able to access the show, my guess is. Anyway, I'm really disappointed that they're going. They're going to do the right thing. I just don't see, why do we always have to, we, the Democrats, always end up doing the right thing? And the Republicans just do this. Unabashedly, unshamedly. Hey, by the way, somebody, I saw somewhere where you could call. I called Speaker Ryan's home office last night because I learned that they were taking a poll. He wants to know how you feel about the Affordable Care Act. And so I thought, we get to vote? Good. I'm going to want to have a chance to vote. So you call. And you're forced to listen to this bullshit. Excuse me, but truly, for the longest time. Then if you press 1, you get to where you're going to be able to say, don't you dare touch the Affordable Care Act. And instead, you're treated to another just propaganda stuff about how awful it is, how this and that. And so finally you have to sit there and listen. And finally they get to, if you agree, press 1. If you don't, press 2. So you finally get to, and then it said, and if you want to say something to Congressman Ryan, click this number and you can record something. So I clicked that and, of course, was told, no, it's full. Forget about it. So I don't think, first of all, they really care to know. It's not going to change a damn thing. But I think maybe in this, during this administration and this Congress, I think we all have to have at our fingertips the phone numbers for these offices. And so they are constantly being reminded that, yoo-hoo, most of us did not vote for you. Hello. And we need to keep at them ceaselessly. It's what Republicans in the same position would do. It's why they end up always pulling rabbits out of hats and winning. Because their people work. The people who believe in what they believe in work it. And we don't. I don't know at what point we're going to figure that out. Beth says she's got no problem listening. And Barbara says, I just go to Pittsburgh City Paper, click on watch, listen, Lynn Cullen live. It's just not a problem. So I don't know, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Those of you who are struggling with it. Okay. Obit of the day. Sister Frances Ann Carr. Frances Ann Carr, 89 years old. With her death, there are only 2 Shakers left in the country, in the world. The Shakers being a religious sect that does not believe in procreation. And when you have a religion that doesn't believe you're supposed to procreate, I mean, the odds of it becoming extinct are pretty good, I would think. But amazingly, the Shakers have been around, and still are, there's two of them, have been around since the 1700s. So they did last over 300 years without procreation. So the only way they make it is people come to them. And for much of their existence, the way people came to them was a lot of poor people who had no means of support, or parents who, because they didn't have birth control, had one too many children who they could not feed. They would send these kids off to live with the Shakers. And in fact, that's how this woman, Frances Ann Carr, came to the Shakers, the Sabbath Day Lake Village. She came because her mother, who was sick, sent her there, and her older siblings. And her older siblings eventually left when they got old enough, and she stayed on and took whatever oath you take to become a true Shaker. So the two Shakers left. There's a woman and a man. Brother Arnold Had, who's 60 years old, he's the young'un, and Sister June Carpenter, who's 78. So those are the two. Mostly the Shakers were in New England, and then in the 1800s they scattered a bit into the Middle West, and at their high point they had a number of villages and probably had about 4,000 to 5,000 adherents, and they became known for their simple furniture, but they were also known for communal living. I mean, they lived truly in a communistic way. Nobody had more than anybody else. They shared everything. All adults worked to raise the village's children. They were not like Amish in that they didn't believe in modern conveniences, so they continued to change the way they supported themselves, and I guess did pretty well, really. But Sister Frances Ann Carr, one of the last, and they say she was considered one of the greatest goodwill ambassadors of the Shaker Church. That she was just this wonderful woman, welcoming and filled with life and love. And she is now gone, leaving just two Shakers. I didn't see in the obit why, and I can't remember why they're called Shakers. Do they get like a little wiggly when they're praising the Lord or something? I don't know. Henry writes, no one could rightfully criticize the Clintons for not attending the inauguration. I think those two deserve a pass and should just stay home. I do too, but they're not going to do it. And the Bush family was openly critical of Trump over the course of the campaign. I hate that all of these detractors are now showing support. In this case, taking the high road gets you nothing. I agree. The high road with this bunch gets you snickered at behind your back. That's all. Of course, if you don't show up, they're going to jump all over you. Fine and dandy. We got to learn not to give a damn what these people think. I'm serious. I'm sorry they're going to. I really am. And Henry writes, Happy friggin' New Year. Oh, no. Don't want to get me coughing. Okay. And another thing that really, really appalled me, and I will not forget it. I'm keeping lists now. I now will never buy another book from Simon & Schuster. You know why? Because one of their, a lot of these publishing houses now have secondary, what do they call them, labels? No, or prints? Imprints. So that it doesn't say Simon & Schuster, it says something else, but it's Simon & Schuster. And one of Simon & Schuster little offspring is called Threshold Editions. And Threshold Editions just gave $250,000 to one of the editors at Brietbart News. This vile, despicable, sexist, racist, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right, Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo Yiannopoulos, who is, you want a repulsive human being, I give you Milo Yiannopoulos. He's the one who went berserk. Listen to what these people care about. When Ghostbusters, the new Ghostbusters came out with women, with a female cast, all-female cast. And in fact, Donald Trump was heard to squawk. What do you mean? They're blah, blah, blah. He went nuts too. And Milo went after and told his minions to go after one of the actresses. And that was the only black woman, Leslie Jones. This woman was, I guess the word is trolled. Somehow that's too cutesy a verb for what the actual action is. She was reviled. She had sexist, racist, the unbelievably appalling things said about her. Not about her character, no, about her looks, about her body, and he and his buddies, with his encouragement, open encouragement, tried to take her down. And she was knocked back by it. I don't know if you'll recall, but she closed down her Twitter account. She got off of social media. She had to essentially go hide for a while. This actress who had merely been in a movie. And Twitter ended up saying to Milo, "You're banned." They cut him off of Twitter. And now, Simon & Schuster are giving this despicable piece of human garbage $250,000 as an advance so he can write a book. Simon & Schuster defended this deal, saying that they don't endorse his viewpoints. No. What they think is it's a good investment in this time that his hateful, racist, misogynistic crap will make Simon & Schuster money. Leslie Jones said to Simon & Schuster, yeah, you don't share his viewpoints, but you still help him spread his hate. Right. That's one from Ms. Jones. So I got to tell you, I mean, I keep in my head. I do not buy. And Milo, I'm sure, is also an anti-Semite. He's a Brietbart guy. And Simon and Schuster, who are now both dead and in their graves, were both Jews. Right? It's unbelievable to me. No principles at all. Just greed and lust for money. And the consequences of your actions while lusting after money. Meh. Gonna be a long 4 years, guys. Although I will maintain that Trump will not finish out the 4. I will maintain that he will end up being impeached by a Republican Congress so they can have someone they can control a little bit better. That's my guess. Anyway, who the hell knows? We're just blindly flying into the unknown. And if you ain't scared, you ain't paying attention. All right, well, thanks so much for listening to my croak today. I hope to be in better shape tomorrow, I hope. Okay. God. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.